On a normal life basis, it seems like I'm just adding ice to my drink so that I can enjoy it. But for a physicist, what is it like? Temperature, the number that is representing the thermal energy of the water, is being reduced. That means the molecules are losing their kinetic energy, which implies the molecules are being slowed down. Now let's take a kinetic theory approach to this, and we can say the average kinetic energy of a single spherical atom is equal to 3 by 2 times kb by T. Here we can see the relation, the kinetic energy is directly proportional to the temperature. If we increase the temperature, the kinetic energy will increase. That means the molecules are moving fast or vibrating very fast. Let's see how do we slow down atoms, that is, cool something down using a completely different technique.
Yeah, atoms and molecules are constantly in motion. So in order to slow them down, we have to push them in different direction. So here we use light, precisely laser. Here we know light has momentum in addition to energy. So this is the keynote of laser cooling. Once when an atom approaches a laser, it absorbs a photon. As a result, it gets slowed down, which is due to the fact that the photon has a momentum, which is given by this formula. And then the change in speed of that atom can be calculated by this formula. So we might think that once the atom gets slowed down, it might get hit by a more number of photons and may speed up in different direction. Well, here's the genius of laser cooling. The laser wavelength is tuned to lightly higher than the absorption wavelength of a still particle. So when an atom approaches the laser, it sees the wavelength as blue shifted or squashed. So as a result, once the atom is slowed down, it will never interact with any other photons. Okay, coming to the most common technique of laser cooling, the Doppler cooling. First, let us see what is Doppler effect. When the source and the observer comes together, their wavelengths get compressed, but when the source and the observer move apart, their wavelength is stretched. This is the basic principle of Doppler effect. Now let us consider a laser setup where the laser is slightly detuned to red, that is lower frequency of optical transition. As a result, the photon energy is very less to excite an atom. Now let us consider an atom moving in the same direction as that of the photon, that is the atom moving away from the laser. It will never absorb the photon. Due to Doppler effect, the wavelengths get stretched and the photon frequency is further away from the resonant frequency of the atom. On the other hand, when an atom and the photon are in different direction, that is, when the atom is moving towards the laser, due to Doppler effect, the wavelengths are compressed and the photon may hit the resonant frequency. As a result, energy as well as the photon momentum is absorbed. So the atom slows down. In other words, it is cooled. After a while, spontaneous relaxation takes place. The emitted photon has energy as well as momentum. However, the direction of the recoil momentum is completely random. As a result, after many further spontaneous emissions, the average momentum gained is zero. The net result of the absorption and emission process is that the reduced speed of the atom, on the condition that the initial speed is higher than the recoil velocity occurred due to the scattering of a single photon. So after repeated absorptions as well as emissions, the mean velocity and the kinetic energy of the atom will get reduced. As a result, we know the temperature of an ensemble of atoms is a measure of their random internal kinetic energy, which is equivalent to cooling of the atoms. Now, the Doppler cooling is given by this equation, where Kb is Boltzmann constant and h is the Planck's constant.
Now that we are aware of the techniques of cooling down a group of atoms with the help of laser, it's time to check out how this practically should work out. The device that uses laser cooling technique is called as a magneto-optical trap. This super beautiful diagram over here is representing a magneto-optical trap, and this beauty, I want to keep it to be admired. So let's move on. Here are some other physical images of a magneto-optical trap. Now let's try to understand a simpler diagram of the MOT. In this diagram you can see that there are 6 counter-propagating lasers which are intersecting at the single point where the atoms are supposed to be trapped. There is also a pair of coils above and below the atoms which are producing spherical quadruple symmetry magnetic field. In this one-dimensional diagram we can understand how the magnetic field of spherical quadruple symmetry are supposed to be. The place where the atoms are trapped, there the magnetic fields are equal to 0. But why are we using this magnetic fields? The reason for this is that the atoms absorb a very specific frequency of photons from the laser in order to get excited. That means the atom have hyperfine structures. More on this later. Let's take an example of an electron orbital of an atom. In this diagram you can see that the arrow pointing upward is the magnetic moment of the electron orbital. When atoms are placed in magnetic field, this magnetic moments tend to align themselves in the direction of the external magnetic field, which causes in the splitting of these hyperfine structures into sublevels. This diagram here will help us understand what is actually happening. So when there is no magnetic field, we see that there is only one spectral line. And as we increase the magnetic field, we see that there are 2 additional sublevels to be found. That means we are getting 3 spectral lines now. And as we increase the magnetic field even more, we see that the sublevels are splitting even more. This gives us a relation that Zeeman shift is directly proportional to the magnetic field, and it is also proportional to the magnetic quantum number. And this equation over here will describe this. This figure here represents an atom of a simple level structure where the excitation is taking place from f is equal to 0 to f is equal to 1 in one-dimensional magneto-optical trap. Here, as you can see, the inhomogeneous magnetic field is along the z-axis, and as we go along the z-axis, we see that the splitting increases linearly. So having magnetic field splits the hyperfine structures of the atom into sublevels, which helps us to absorb photons from the laser with slightly different frequencies. And if you still don't get it, here's a fun video for you. In this video, the aluminium slab, which is non-magnetic in nature, when introduced in a strong magnetic field, induces a shift of magnetic moments of the atoms of the aluminium, which results in this super cool video. To conclude this, the configuration of lasers provide the damping and restoring force in the atom when combined with the magnetic quadruple potential produced by the coils. In adequate magnetic fields, the position-dependent forces and the velocity causes the confinement and trapping of the atoms. And the magnetic field, where it is equal to 0, there is the point where the atoms get trapped. Moving on to the description of the trap. The atoms that are used to cool down are usually alkali metal atoms. The reason we use these atoms is because of their simple structure. Now let's take rubidium. Rubidium is first heated to a high temperature and then converted into gaseous form. This cloud of atoms are then further flown towards the point of intersection of the counter-propagating lasers, where they are trapped and cooled down. Actual MOT chamber is around 80 mm in size and made up of quartz glass. This chamber is connected permanently to a high vacuum pressure. The pressure is around 10⁻⁻8 torr. Here in this video you can see rubidium atoms cool down, and the reason the spot looks so bright is because of the spontaneous emission of the photons in random direction. This diagram over here is representing the energy level diagrams of rubidium atom. You can see the excitation is taking place from 5s half level to 5p3/2 level. In this you can see that 5p3/2 level is split into sublevels due to the Zeeman shift. To understand the whole mechanism, we need to go through these papers, and unfortunately we don't have so much time. So let's move on to the applications of laser cooling.